am the sacrifice, build now for the future, the resurrection. This is what Sir Basil Spence felt the burned open cathedral in Coventry was telling him when he visited in 1950. 5 minutes was enough for him to have an idea on how to imagine the future of the cathedral that was destroyed in 1940. 24 hours after the visit were enough to complete his first plan. And 12 years later, the cathedral was complete, which was remarkably like his initial plans. But it wasn't only Spence who had desire to shape the future of Coventry. A competition for rebuilding the cathedral attracted 219 submissions. Archive materials show the wide range of approaches and the visions that were put at the time. Architects Alice and Peter Smithson, for instance, submitted one of these proposals with newly built cathedral, a square floor plan, fully transparent facades, and a roof that looks like a giant wave in Coventry's sky. How could their proposal have transformed the city if it was accepted? In several war-torn cities, destroyed buildings were rebuilt as replicas to their former selves. Nostalgia from Nostos, return home, and algia, longing, have influenced many architects and planners to recreate and revisit the past that has been erased through violence and destruction. But it wasn't the case of Coventry. The cathedral was kept roofless, turning into a symbol of the city, a site for reflection, and a remnant of the past to tell the story of Coventry, the history of a ruined city, even now, 8 years after its destruction. Sir Basil Spence said that he found the ruins inspiring, beautiful, and the serene enclosure of the bombed shell tragic but eloquent, spoke of sacrifice. He added that he felt the prayers of centuries of worship radiating from the old walls. I spoke with Arthur Smart, an associate director at Arup Cities, who told me Spence's proposal was confident and direct, addressing what had happened head-on and securing its memory in the cityscape. The confidence shown by the commissioners and the council in selecting it as the winner and carrying through with its construction when more straightforward and less controversial options were available was an equally confident and committed action. A lesson all cities can learn from in responding to damage and disasters in our cities. Aaron Hannocks, an art history student who grew up in Coventry, told me, "The striking thing about the cathedral is that it's a mirror of the city, a collage that reconciles the past and the present." Sir Ove Arup, the founder of Arup, had a significant role in this project as he brought Spence's idea into life when designing the structural engineering of the cathedral. But the cathedral is not only shaped by the work of the architect and the engineer. One of the striking and powerful features of the cathedral is how the artist's work have been woven into the building. This demonstrates the architect's aspirations to bring artwork to the heart of the cathedral. Margaret Treherne, for instance, was one of these artists who made a stained glass in the Chapel of Unity. The loss of Coventry was not limited to the cathedral. Other sites too, including 43,000 homes, over half of the city's housing stock at a time, were damaged or destroyed. Visions of reconstructing the city started emerging. In 1945, the Coventry of the Future exhibition brought with it proposals with rigid lines, spaciousness, speed, cleanliness, and order. When reconstruction started in Coventry, many of its still-standing buildings were demolished. The irregular streetscape was replaced with newly ordered grid, laying the foundation for a new center, the precinct. It was a moment that transformed the image of the city. For Erin Hannocks today, walking in a city center, as she told me, is like a shifting time machine, the industrial cityscape coexisting with the pre-war medieval streets such as Spon Street and Priory Row. Coventrians after the reconstruction had disorientating experiences with the loss of the city center, street patterns, and features. Some academic research shows how many of the oral history accounts refer to nostalgia to the black and white buildings of the pre-war city. Erin Hannux told me that the history of the Blitz and the ensuing industrialization of the city is known from a young age. She added, I don't actually remember being officially taught about it in school, but it is now such a solidified part of the local identity and consciousness. In 2021, Coventry is the UK City of Culture. In its promoting video, the very first opening features the roofless cathedral that still today tells us about the loss the city endured. The past has never passed in Coventry. The video shows the story of Coventry as a dynamic and moving city. Coventry is a city of movement and change, a city of diversity and hospitality, a city where migrants and forced displaced people found refuge, and a city that has turned into a symbol of hope. Its rich architecture is reflected in the urban fabric, but this fabric is threatened again with new waves of loss, exactly in the city center that was rebuilt after the World War II. Fears, concerns, and anxieties emerge from another destruction yet to come. Speaking to a woman in Coventry, she told me that she hears many people saying that the city needs another blitz, in reference to the attitudes some people have towards the city center. I started to read about Coventry's history as my own city was wiped out in the last decade. In Homs, Syria, where I grew up, over 3/4 of the city's neighborhood have been heavily or partially destroyed. Fears emerge now about the future reconstruction that might bring with it another landscape of loss and destruction. The old questions that Coventrians faced come back to the conversation to many residents in many ruined cities today. More loss, more trauma, more grief. Many cities today are identified by wartime destruction, ruins, and rubble. What will they look like in the future, and how will they be rebuilt? Could Coventry's past unravel some of these questions today after 8 years of its destruction? Erin Hannux, who studies art, told me that material symbols from the destroyed cathedral, such as the charred cross and the cross of nails, exist in harmony with the otherwise modern space, contributing to the narrative of a city that is bound to, yet not defined by its war history. So what story will Coventry tell in the future?